Hello and welcome to another thrilling iGaming Next Power Hour, and I am thrilled to be joined by a very brilliant individual who joins us from the wonderful Internet Vikings. Now, of course, the Power Hour, which comes to you from the good people at iGaming Next, is all about powering up your knowledge, powering up your connections, and powering up your competitive advantage. My name's Oisin Lunny. I'm a podcast host, event MC, journalist, and content creator. And today we are going to power up your knowledge in the Power Hour of the US market, and we're going to get the inside track on the US iGaming market from Elena Kvakova, who is the head of US expansion at Internet Vikings. Welcome, Elena.
Hi, Oisin. Thank you for having me, and hello to everyone who tuned in.
Fantastic. So, folks, we are just going to kick things off and get to know Elena a bit better. If any of you don't know her already, I recommend you reach out to her on LinkedIn, you connect, because this is what the Power Hour is all about, building our global connections and building this iGaming Next family to give you that competitive advantage. So, Elena, tell us, where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you guys from Brooklyn, New York. I have been working... Yeah, big news for New York lately, but we'll get to that in a second. So I have been working in operations and business development roles in the US market for the past decade. And my background is mostly in the tech field, hosting and domain names. So this is exactly what we're trying to do now for the Internet Vikings, establish the hosting presence in the two states to support the growing iGaming business here.
Fantastic. And we actually had your colleague 𝗘𝗃𝗸𝗶𝘀 on the iGaming Next Power Hour a few weeks ago. It was a great chat. I won't go into any details. It is online on the iGaming Next YouTube channel. If you want to tune in, I would recommend it. So you are joining us from New York, one of the most exciting cities in the world. But of course, there's been some very exciting news there for the iGaming space. Do you want to tell us about what's happening on your side of the screen there?
Yeah, absolutely. So even though the gambling has been legal in New York since 2019, it was only possible in a few casinos upstate New York. But what have we been living through in April is that New York Governor Cuomo has actually passed the law that allows online gambling in the state now. As I'm sure everyone else, we were really looking forward to this legislation, but it turned out a little bit not as liberal as one would hope. In a nutshell, New York government took the monopoly approach of the Washington, D.C. and Oregon, just being a state lottery. So there will be two licensed platforms that will have at least 4 sportsbooks, so-called skins. There's going to be offers to be those platform providers starting to come on July 1st, and the government will have 150 days to decide who are they going to pick. Again, exciting times, even though it's a little bit more restrictive than we would hope. Of course, we would want it to be, a little more competitive and more open as New Jersey and Pennsylvania and other newer states. But this is still great news. A lot of sportsbooks and platforms will have the opportunity to finally be in the Empire State, which is thrilling.
Absolutely. Iconic times, very much. It feels like you're at the epicenter of some very exciting developments in the world of iGaming. And zoom out a bit, if you would, and talk to us about what's happening overall in the US. What's happening with different states. Are things changing as fast as they are in New York?
In some states, for sure. So we have gone into 2021 in total of 10 states who are looking to pass the legislation, seeing how successful other states are, especially in the conditions of the pandemic. But as of yesterday, only 4, not just only, but a whole 4 states have passed the laws allowing online gambling in the US. Those states are New York, Wyoming, Arizona, and Florida. Florida is really exciting because it's the 3rd biggest state in New York. But the approach that they took is, again, there will be 2 sports books accepting wagers in the state, and they will operate out of the tribal casinos, which is, again, not necessarily ideal, but at least it's something. And the online gambling will be available for the whole state. There is still hope for 4 more states this year: Maryland, Louisiana, Connecticut, and Ohio, and at least 2 of them are expected to pass. So we're looking at approximately 6 states by the end of the year, which is mind-blowing, to be honest. The most liberal anticipations were for maybe 2-3 states. So we're hoping to be at 6, and we're already at 4. So this is great news, really, for the U.S. gaming market. Maine is also yet to vote, but it's unlikely. Yeah, but so overall, 2021 has been really good for the US this year.
Fantastic. I mean, you've just given people on the iGaming Next Power Hour a checklist of states to look out for and good places to start strategically planning your move towards US domination. So thank you very much for that. Now, I'm curious. Now, this is obviously 50 different jurisdictions altogether just in the US alone. But if you have, say, experience in the European iGaming market, could this necessarily help you in the US iGaming market? Is it very different, or are there similarities?
So obviously the 2 markets are different. US is just more restrictive, but what we have seen so far is that a lot of US companies are hiring the European talent, which is, again, a really great indicator. The market is a little bit behind the European market, but it's for sure a great thing. And I think European experience is absolutely a bonus to the US market.
Okay, fantastic. So it sounds like there's a market with plenty of opportunity there. And if you have experience in Europe, you can really shift this over. But do you think, I mean, given the US is such an enormous territory, could it actually overtake Europe at any stage?
I think so. Yeah, collectively in possibly 4 to 5 years. Wow. Yeah, I think the US revenue is going to match the Europe's. What we have seen is that there is this huge appetite for online gambling that have been just unavailable for so long. And no doubt in the several years, it will only continue to grow as more and more states are passing the legislations.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you've just very kindly given people a helicopter view of what's been happening in terms of legislation, where's likely to change next. How have things been so far in 2021 for yourself and the good people at Internet Vikings?
2021 has been pretty good so far. I mean, we have seen there is a definite market growth. Year over year, it's close to 300%. And months over months, it's 24%. So obviously, US is a very happening place and everyone wants to be here. The approach that Internet Vikings have taken, as I'm sure everyone else, has been more on the conservative side because we wanted to weigh all of our options. New market, there is a lot of unknown things. And our research, again, showed that there is very limited licensed hosting options, and they're very scarce and costly, and something providers have to figure out for themselves. And we just go where there is a need for us. A little teaser, we're looking to be up and running in summer in a couple of states with our ready out-of-the-box hosting solutions. So stay tuned for the official announcements. But another thing that we have learned while looking at the US is that we are learning the most from our partners and from our good friends in the industry who already have boots on the ground. So please, if any of the listeners want to drop me a line, by all means, please. We're happy to talk about technical, regulatory, or if you just want to introduce yourself, that would be amazing.
Fabulous. What an invitation. Not only do you share the kind of roadmap for the US, you give people a little teaser, a glimpse into what's coming from Internet Vikings, but you open the doors and say, come on over. So folks who are watching, please do reach out to Elena on LinkedIn. Please, let's connect, build the iGaming Next global family. And we're going to actually just spend a minute or two getting to know Elena a bit more, because Elena, you've got such an interesting background. Now, when we had Peter on the iGaming Next Power Hour a few weeks ago, it was a fascinating kind of glimpse into this overlap between, incredibly solid, thought out, diligent hosting, but really empowering the iGaming industry on a global basis. And I'm curious as to your own background, like what was your path to join the team at Internet Vikings, and in particular your technology path, because that's there's so much expertise there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have started out just as its technical support for the hosting product in another tech company based out of the US. And from that, I have moved on to the project management and then the business development. So I was able to get the full circle of knowledge that you can get from a hosting perspective, just being as a customer, but also as a person who sets this whole thing up, but also from a business perspective. So I think this is essentially what brings value to Internet Vikings, is that we're able to find and to deliver the best product to our customers, but also keeping in mind how efficient it is, how scalable it is, and also how cost effective it is.
Absolutely. Those are kind of three big tick boxes on the shopping list for anybody looking at iGaming compliant hosting in new territories, in the US, in many places all over the world. But you have a background, I believe you were looking after things like domain names, product management, business management. What aspects of that experience do you kind of work with in this new arena of iGaming over Internet Vikings?
For sure. I think once you're just setting out on the market, you have to be a jack of all trades, and you have to be looking not just from an operational perspective, but also from business development, financial, and product development. So I do think that the experience that I have gained so far really helps that. Like research, it's just everything right away. And yeah, this is what really helps us.
Yeah, totally. And, do you, in terms of where you get your data about the US market, this is obviously a big part of your role over there, is to survey the market, to see what's coming next, to read the signs, to read the tea leaves, if you like. What are some of the best places where you kind of gain the inside track on the US market, particularly from an iGaming perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that if you're looking to keep in touch as to what's going on the regulatory background around the different states, it's best to just Google what are the news in that particular state, because there are quite a few online issues that are covering that part of news. Unfortunately, there is not one consolidated resource that I could recommend. But first is looking into the news. And then there is a great resource that consolidates all the U.S. industry called CBS Americas. So they provide updates on different companies, how well they're doing. They also give a little bit of insight into regulatory. But yeah, the newsletters. I am following. I'll send you the name later, but yeah, there is a great newsletter that is going out at least twice or three times a week about how well is everyone doing, what's the revenue numbers, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's I would say that's the best challenge, is that trying to put together the pieces and trying to take them from everywhere at the same time, which can be a little bit overwhelming, and you're running a risk on missing out on something. So that's why I do feel like connections with people is also important, not necessarily to partner, but to partner, but to just catch up and see where everyone is, and what knowledge can be shared and what can be brainstormed.
Indeed, wise words. I think you struck a note with me there, talking about people getting together and sharing knowledge. And I think as much as we all love the iGaming Next Power Hour and how much fun we have when we all get together, I would suggest we're all very much looking forward to gathering in the physical world as well, and sharing advice, tips, and doing deals over a beverage or several, as the iGaming industry has been known to do from time to time, of course. So talk to us a bit about, how long have you been based over in the States again? When did you move there?
So I have joined Internet Vikings at the end of the last year, and I have moved here permanently starting January. Again, everything has been in lockdown, so we have been pretty much offline. But yeah, a sneak peek to those of you who are interested in the US market and participating in the event. There is going to be a great event in September. It's hosted by CBS Americas, and it's going to be here in New Jersey. Yeah, so we're expecting to see a lot of people here. And yeah, hopefully this is going to be the first time when we see each other live, because the things are starting to open up here in the US a little bit more.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so that is, you'll be there physically. The Internet Vikings team will be on site, and you'll be, yes, amazing.
Please
My goodness, sorry, go ahead.
No, please do come. We are going to be there. It's just a stone throw away from me. So yeah, hopefully that's going to happen, because it's been postponed quite a few times. But yeah, it would be amazing to see everyone there.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so you've kind of said earlier that the US market could potentially be even bigger than the European market, and you're kind of reading the signs and keeping an eye on the trends and seeing which states are opening up, which jurisdictions are iGaming friendly. Do you see the potential for a lot of US only brands, or do you think there might be more global brands launching in the US, or do you think it's going to be a bit of a mix?
So it's definitely going to be a mix, and this is what we're seeing right now, is that there are, like, out of 10, if we think that 10 is the total amount of the platforms and sports books in the US, I would say that maybe there are 2 that are purely US, there are 2 that are purely Australian, and pretty much the majority is that international brands migrating from Europe onto the US. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a mix. The US specific brands, they're only running majorly in the states where there's like a lottery based legislation. So yes. Again, they are definitely present, but yeah, in some of the bigger states that are more attractive, I feel, to the European providers, there is definitely a mix. And yeah, it would be, yeah, it's also good, yeah, to talk about where all the states are. For instance, right now we have what, 20 states that support that. And yeah, we have seen a lot of times is that people are asking what states are the best to enter in the US. And I think it's a really good question. So on one hand, there's Pennsylvania and New Jersey. They are constant leaders on revenue boards. It's fully mature regulatory system, and they provide many gambling options. But on the other hand, there are newer states like Michigan, Virginia, and Indiana. They are not bringing as much revenue yet, but their legislation, which is a big thing, their legislation is a little bit more relaxed. So if you're only looking to enter the US market, there is a chance that you'll have less paperwork and less things to worry about, at least from the regulatory perspective in the smaller states. So be sure to keep an eye out on those states. Again, if you're flexible also of the timeline when the investment will become profitable, because those states are only starting to pick up. But yeah, one thing is for sure, all of the states are up on the rise. And yeah, we'll see how it's going to go now in 2021 when the states are starting to reopen. Some experts say that a part of the revenue from online gambling is going to go to brick and mortar casinos. Now, when a lot of people in the US are getting vaccinated and the casinos reopen. So that's definitely an interesting thing to keep in mind. Yeah, we don't have any knowledge of that so far, but I'm sure we'll see some in a couple months.
Absolutely. My goodness. I mean, that was just the inside track on the US market. Thank you very much. That was which states to look out for first, where you can get the competitive advantage, where you should be investing your money. Absolutely brilliant. So talk to us a little bit about the approach for Internet Vikings in the US. You mentioned it's kind of, you're expanding bit by bit and you're growing with the market. You're preempting the needs of your customers and new partners. What's the kind of, the elevator pitch for the Internet Vikings approach for the US market?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that Internet Vikings are looking to bring again the flexibility, the Swedish flexibility to the US
Nice.
market. We do know how to
Jättebra.
do things. Yeah, we do know how to do things well and how to do them on a budget, and we also do know how to scale. And that's the thing that we feel is lacking in the US market. And we were happy to deliver that value to the customer. We were looking at many states when we just started out. We do feel that it's important to have a partnership, not just set up the shop and hope for the best. But again, we're taking a little bit more conservative approach where we're looking for like a long-term partnerships and start establishing our presence in the States. So we have something in the works right now. I don't want to jinx it and disclose it too early, but we are hoping to go live this summer in at least 2 states in the US. There are smaller states, but it's going to be exciting.
Outstanding. Well, all I can say is watch this space. So, folks, please give a big virtual round of applause and thank you to Elena Kvakova, who has been so kind to share the inside scoop on the US market, getting you the inside track on iGaming Next Power Hour. My name's Oisin Lunny. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.